M8 Find trig ratios using reference angles. And this is just a review of M7. It's a continuation. So we're really not going to be learning anything new. It's just a reinforcement because these are so important. And so you're just going to get your cheat sheet out, and it says secant 45. So you find secant and 45, and it is the square root of 2. And pi over 6 is the same thing as 30. So cosecant 30 is 2. And cosine 270 is 0. And then we have to do a little bit of thinking on this one. There's two ways of doing it. You can do the 180 over, that's not right, 7. Oh my, yeah, I am losing it. Okay. So you can do 180 over 4 because pi is the same thing as 180. And, oh gosh, it ends up being 315, okay? Or I see it as this is really close to 8 pi over 4, and 8 pi over 4 is the same thing as 2 pi, and 2 pi is the same thing as 360. So I know it's going to be in the fourth quadrant. So I could take the 2 pi, I'll do it right here. I'll take the 2 pi and subtract 7 pi over 4, and 2 pi is the same thing as 8 pi over 4, and that gives me pi over 4, and pi over 4 is the same thing as 45 in the negative region. So this is 45, so I'm really doing secant 45, and remember, all students take classes, so cosine and secant are positive in this quadrant. So secant 45 is square root of 2. If we would have taken secant 45 in the second quadrant or the third quadrant, then our answer would have been negative square root of 2. .240, that's 180, so we'll go 60 more to get the reference angle. So cotangent 240 is the same thing as cotangent 60. And since we're in the third quadrant, our answer is going to be positive, and 60 is square root of 3 over 3. But on this one, 240, so it's still the same angle, but we are doing secant this time. And secant in the third quadrant is negative. So I'm going to put a negative sign in front of that to remind myself that my answer is going to be negative. And secant 60 is 2, so this is going to be negative 2. .330 would make it 30 degrees because 360 minus 330 is 30 degrees. That's our reference angle. And cosine and secant are both positive here, so we don't have to worry about a negative. And then we're going to do secant 30 is 2 square root of 3 over 3. 540, what's 540? So we don't know what 540 is. We're going to take a full circle away from that and get 180. So secant 540 is the same thing as secant 180. Then you look at your chart and you get negative 1. 990, well, I am going to take away 720 because that would be 2 circles. And we get 270. Sine 270 equals 3 over z. And sine 270 is negative 1. And then we get 3 over z. So we would cross multiply and get negative 1z equals 3. Then divide by negative 1 and get negative 3. So negative 3 is our answer. If we put negative 3 in here, 3 over negative 3 is negative 1, and we already know that sine 270 is negative 1.